The Treasury has collaborated with History and Policy on running seminars over the last couple of years, and we've had very positive feedback from those sessions. But in thinking about them, we had a bit of a sense that a lot of people were coming along to those seminars, finding the topic interesting and engaging, but then going away and perhaps not thinking about it very deeply in the future. And so we wanted to come up with a format that would encourage civil servants to really engage with the evidence and ideally encourage them to go away and use some of the new ideas and thoughts that have come out of the session in their work going forward. The first History and Policy workshop at the Treasury was on the topic of airports, and we looked at how the debate over a third airport for London in the 1970s provided a really useful parallel to the work of the Contemporary Airports Commission. Some of the issues that came up, some of the problems and the questions that the work in the 1970s looked at turned out to be remarkably similar to the questions that we're considering today. They centred around value for money, environmental issues, what was politically expedient, what was going to be acceptable to the public. And I think that it was actually quite a surprise to colleagues from the Department for Transport and the Airports Commission who joined staff at the Treasury in thinking about these issues, just how much work had been done in the 1970s that was of high relevance to the work that they're doing today. And I know that they've taken that away and are using some of the evidence that came out of the workshop and the discussion that we had during the workshop in taking forward the next stage of work for the Airports Commission. I think the top three benefits of a History and Policy workshop for civil servants are opening their eyes to a wider context for their work, introducing them to new sources of evidence, and also introducing them to different analytical tools and techniques. The wider context is particularly important. I think in the civil service that we are much more ready to look at international evidence and examples than we are to look at historical case studies. And just having a wider context for our work that's focused on solving policy problems today and thinking about historical comparative examples is very valuable. Policymakers have responded extremely positively to the workshops. In particular, they've welcomed the opportunity to have more time for discussion with the historian, to ask questions, to explain the problems and the issues that they are dealing with at the moment, and to have discussion with the historian about different ways of approaching them. A central theme of the civil service reform agenda is better policy making, and this is something that we're thinking about particularly in the Treasury at the moment. How can we make sure that we're using the full range of evidence available to us, that we are interrogating that evidence with innovative tools and techniques, and making sure that any policy proposals and solutions we put to ministers are fully informed by evidence? And I think that these History and Policy workshops have provided a new way of looking at data. They've actually broadened the range of data that we have available to us in thinking about policy questions, and also opened our minds to different ways of thinking about that data and analysing it.